Welcome once again to Cheesy Dan Reviews. As always, I'm Cheesy Dan. You found the perfect place for the picky eater to pick their preferred piece of pizza. On the plate today, TombStone 5-cheese pizza. TombStone advertises this pizza as being full of flavor. Well, the question then is it delicious or is it dead on arrival? What's going to be the epithet on this TombStone? Don't know. We're going to have to cook it up, cut it up, eat it up, and then we'll be able to tell you, is this cheese worth your dough? We're going to rate this pizza on its appearance, its day one taste, its value, and then come back on day 3 and get its day 3 reheat score. We'll take all 4 scores, add them together, divide by 4, and now you'll know the cheesy score. Now it's time to get the cellophane off, pull the paper out, take a look at what we got here. So you can definitely see some of the cheeses. This one says it has mozzarella, cheddar, Parmesan, Asiago, and Romano. The cheddar is definitely pretty visible. You can't help but notice that bright orange. So let's get it off of this. Oh, made a little bit of a mess. Let's put it on the pizza stone.
Oops, I did it again.
And then it says to cook it at 400 degrees. So let's get it in there and come back to you once it's cooked. Alright, I almost forgot to show you my new toy.
Pretty cool, right?
This is called a pizza peel. Seems like a weird name for such a device. However, I was able to get it at, good grief, Hobby Lobby for only $14.
Wow.
So, what do you think? Thought it'd be pretty fun to have something, and I actually got recommended this by one of my viewers, told me about it, had to get, figured, hey, I gotta have it. So, let's use it to rotate the pizza.
Yes, but isn't this overkill?
Well, some practice still needed, I suppose, but it'll bake okay. Well, that pizza peel does make it easier for getting the pizza out. As far as the appearance goes, it does look like it cooked pretty evenly. The crust is definitely a thin crust, so it didn't puff up or anything. They do have good cheese coverage. There's not a whole lot of places that you see the pizza sauce coming through. The one downside is the fact that it does have the cheddar cheese. As I've mentioned before, not really a big fan of cheddar cheese, especially not on my pizza. So initial impression, a little bit of missed area on cheese, not too bad. Mix in the cheese I'm not a huge fan of, but not a bad overall presentation. I'm gonna say I'm gonna put this one at a appearance of a 5.5. Could use a little better cheese coverage, could do without the cheddar, but does have an overall good look to it. So the next thing we're gonna do, I wanna put it up here. Wow, didn't expect that.
Well, that's not going anywhere.
Apparently, if you leave it on that pizza peel too long, it kind of sticks. We're going to use my new toy, and we're going to cut it up. Now, I know a few people have said that they've started playing a game to see which cheese slice I'm going to pick and see if they pick the right one. So, see if you pick the one that I'm about to pick.
Why did you choose that one, I wonder?
All right, if you pick that one, I guess you're the winner. Let's let it cool off and we're gonna give it its taste. All right, now that it's had a chance to cool off, it is time for us to take our day 1 taste test. However, we still haven't graded on its value. Something I found super interesting was depending on what supermarket you shop at, they actually deliver the product differently. For instance, at the Publix, like you can see in this photo, this same pizza actually comes in a cardboard box, whereas the one that I bought from Walmart comes in a cellophane wrapper. The difference is actually a little further than that, in the fact that the one in the cardboard box is about $1 more than the one that was in the cellophane wrapper. Also, the one in the cellophane wrapper from Walmart was slightly bigger at 19.3 ounces versus, I want to say the other one was like 18.3. So you're slightly getting more pizza and you're paying less. just for the privilege of having it in a cellophane wrapper versus a box. And I guess the big question you'd have is, do they taste any different? I don't know. Do you think the cellophane or the cardboard box would taste any different? I guess there's really only one way to find out.
Ew.
Yeah, not too good.
Ew.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say, I don't really care whether it's in the cardboard or the cellophane. Neither one of them tastes very good.
No, duh.
It's probably gonna be more about the taste of the pizza. Although you might get a little bit of fiber content from the cardboard, but I think it's more about the pizza. I got so caught up in talking about the different packaging, I almost forgot to give this one its actual value score. With this one coming in under $5, that's a pretty good deal. It's kind of hard to beat that, especially with the taste. So I'm gonna actually score this one at a 8.5 for value. So good showing. But the next thing we gotta do is give it its taste test. Not too bad. I hate always trying to compare to like DiGiorno because I guess that's the pizza I've had more experience with at-home cooking. I don't know which came first, DiGiorno or some of these others, but I do notice that their flavor profiles tend to be pretty similar. The crust on this one is nice, it's thin, it's a little crispy, overall soft, it is very good. The cheese, I don't really taste a lot of the cheddar, which is good because it's not really my thing, but the cheese itself tastes great. The sauce has a really strong profile to it, I suppose, is the best way to say it. Not in a bad way at all. It almost has a little bit of acidic, I'm trying to think of the way to word it, but it's definitely got a quick spike of taste to it, but not bad. Overall, a good taste. I would say on this one, for a day one taste, for being an at-home pizza, it's actually quite good. I know my kids tried it. They said that they really liked it. So I would have to put this one at least a 6.5 for a day one, which is a pretty good showing. So with a 6.5, the only thing we've got left to do is we're gonna have to stick it in the fridge, come back on day 3, reheat it, and then we're gonna get a chance to see what our cheesy score is and see how the TombStone pizza stacks up against the competition.
3 days later.
Thanks for sticking with us for day 3 of the TombStone 5-cheese pizza. Now that we've gotten it out of the refrigerator, let's get it out of the bag. Obviously, you're going to see a little bit of glossiness that's just from being in the bag when it was hot. However, if you look at it, overall, does not look too different. Looks like it held itself together pretty well in there. So now let's stick it in the oven. Let's heat it up. And let's see what it is on day 3. Came out pretty good. Let's let it cool off a bit, and then we'll give it its taste. Now that it's had a chance to cool off some, the only thing left to do, take a bite. Well, really no surprise. It still came out pretty well as far as a day 3 goes. Yes, it's going to look a little different just because it's on day 3, but reheated quite well. I would say the taste is honestly exactly the same as it was on day 1. I really haven't noticed much of a change in the flavor profile or really almost anything. The cheese, the sauce, the bread, or the crust, it's all very similar in its taste structure. You can look at it yourself and see the crust itself looks just as good. Cheese, of course, is going to have a little bit of a different look just because it's been in the Ziploc bag and then, of course, stored. So a little bit different look, but overall, definitely a good taste. The TombStone's kind of been a surprise for me. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not, this is not a, Papa John's alternative as far as taste goes. It's not going to replace you going out to a restaurant. But as far as a at-home pizza that you could reheat, for about $5, not too bad. So 6.5 holds for day 3. So with a 5.5 appearance on day 1, a day 1 taste of 6.5, a value score of 8.5, and a day 3 reheat taste score of 6.5. That brings us to a grand total of 6.75 on the cheesy scale. Not really a bad showing for a $5 pizza. In fact, when you put that into my pie chart, that actually makes the TombStone come in 7th place. It's bumping down the CC's Alfredo, and it's falling in just below the Red Baron cheese trio. Really a good showing for a TombStone. And I can say personally, I know my kids were a fan of it, and it kind of has been the one that they're now wanting to have. So great recommendation. And I also forget to mention, in this case, this was actually a recommendation by one of my viewers. So thank you, Jay Clips, for mentioning the TombStone. He did say pepperoni.
Have you lost your mind?
And unfortunately, as we know, that is not my game. I am Cheesy Dan. I don't do pepperoni.
I love cheese.
So great showing for TombStone. Definitely gets a thumbs up from me and a recommendation. And I'll tell you this, I want to thank those that have joined me so far in this pizza journey, those that have subscribed and have commented and have shared this with friends.
I love you guys.
Thank you so much for supporting the channel and being a part of this as I try to grow this channel. And hey, if you guys have any good recommendations, make sure to put them in the comments. And if you've had an experience with TombStone that maybe was different than what I've seen, maybe you think it's better than what I rated, or maybe you think it should have been lower, hey, let me know that too. Everybody's got an opinion, and that's all right. Well, thanks again for joining me. Remember to like, share, subscribe, share it with friends. And until we eat again, stay cheesy.